another episode of Hard Factor presented by the Barstool News Network. It is Monday, July 27th, 2020. We have a packed show. We've got Big Cat on the show in a little bit. We've also got all the other major stories. The return of the lightning round again.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean,
hold on to your ass.
That's a lot of stuff for a Monday morning. And Beeve is doing his hair, but Beeve, your internet issues continue at the Beaver Dam. What is going on?
I don't really know. Here's what I do know. Tried to give myself a perm this weekend. A lot harder than you think that it is to give yourself a perm. Here's why. Apparently, I didn't know this. You buy the perm kit. It doesn't say, hey, also make sure to buy curlers. I almost texted Mark's wife because I know that she had a perm in the 80s or the early 90s.
In the 80s? How old do you think my wife is?
I think she had a perm when she was like 7.
You know, Pat's into Pelosi.
She was born in the late 80s.
Well,
she's
then she younger than the early 90s.
Yeah.
But apparently you need all these curlers. That's what you need. But then, so I went to go buy the curlers. Curlers everywhere are sold out. There's been like a run. It's like a run on curlers in Austin, Texas, because I guess everyone's trying to give themselves a perm after I was talking about it on air.
That makes sense, though. I mean, if you're on lockdown, you don't want to perm it up.
Well, I think the Beeve is a trendsetter too. We don't want to sell that short.
No, it's the Beeve combo with quarantine. It's the perfect storm for rollers falling off the shelves. You know what I mean?
It's gonna happen this week, though. Don't worry.
Excellent. Well, first up, let's not beat around the bush. Let's talk about the Dave and Trump interview and get into the Big Cat interview. And then Mark and Pat will take us through a lightning round of other headlines after that. But top, last Thursday morning, a tweet goes out saying, I forget from who, but somebody connected to the Trump administration saying that Barstool Sports is interviewing Trump in the Rose Garden. That happened Thursday morning. Nobody knew what was going on. Anybody that we were asking in the company seemed to not know.
A lot of people thought it was us.
Right. Yeah, that would have been cool.
And to those people, thank you for believing we're more important than we are.
Absolutely.
We've got some rollers to sell you.
So we were recording Florida Man Friday, as always, on a Thursday. We're just feeling our own Florida Man Friday vibes and just kind of checking in, seeing like, is this real? Is it not? We didn't hear anything by the time we recorded, so we didn't include it on Friday's show. But then after we dropped the podcast, or right before we did, all of a sudden pictures of Dave and Trump start to trickle out. And it's a full-on internet shitstorm of, just like only that those two could produce, Trump and Dave Portnoy. And so
on a Friday.
On a Thursday night. That was a Thursday night.
Yeah, Thursday. That's right. Yeah.
And so everybody knew that the interview was coming. And so the next day, Big Cat, who is going to talk to us in a couple minutes, he went on the Yak on Barstool Radio and aired some frustrations about not being given a heads up about an interview that has such a big implication on the company as one of the partners, the leadership partners of the company. We're going to talk to him, and which makes sense.
Well, right. that all of those parts, like Big Cat, very important person in Barstool, has been for quite some time, is now even more important after the deal and everything. Very influential. And the part that we had a problem with his influence, he mentioned some things about maybe politics aren't really the thing that
stick to sports.
Yeah.
Big Cat wishes we could stick to sports a little bit more, but I think as a company, as an internet publisher, we've grown a little bit beyond that, and now politics
we were hired,
are seeking us out. Yeah,
we were literally hired to do a news and politics
for us individually. I think,
that's
right.
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 And I don't think, obviously, you'll hear the interview. I don't think we knew he didn't mean anything negative towards us by it, but just that type of statement from someone as influential as Big Cat, and it's you can get him on your show because that's what happens after that type of conversation, right?
Yeah, good excuse to have him on.
Yeah.
I wasn't personally mad about it, but you understand that it puts us in a tough position. But I think Big Cat explains it well.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like the great thing about Barstool is I wasn't personally mad about it because literally no one ever tells us anything in terms of whether we're doing a good job, bad job, or what we should be doing. That's the nature of Barstool. You can literally do whatever the fuck you want, whenever the fuck you want.
Right.
And it's interesting. It's like it's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing in that you're of total freedom, and it's a curse in some respects because sometimes you're like, hey, I'm piloting my own ship, and you hope that you're piloting it the right way.
Sure, Pat, but you're not looking at the bigger picture. Like, obviously, we're a bipartisan, comedy first news and politics show. But what I'm thinking here is, like, the average stoolie that will listen to anything, Big Cat says and connotates Hard Factor as a political show, whether that's right or wrong, won't give you the time of day when comments like that are made. That's the whole point. They won't listen to your show.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yes.
But I also, I love to start from a position, a handicap, and then make you run you down.
So 500 shows later, two years in, you're still wanting that challenge mode.
I like you to hate me first. And then I just like to show up on the weekends with a sixer and a pizza and say, hey, I thought that you hated me, or I knew that you hated me, but I don't care. Let's have pizza and beer together. What's up? And then before you know it,
that keeps you employed. Should we play the interview?
Well, yeah, we will in just 1 second. So the interview came out right after Big Cat came and gave his thoughts on the yak, and it was about what you'd expect. Dave and Trump sat down. Dave made sure to clarify that he's a non-political person personally. Tried to get Trump to concede a little bit on the kneeling during the anthem protests, which he thinks are better than violent protests in the street. And Trump won't concede any on that in the interview. They mutually trashed Roger Goodell, which was probably, I'd say, like the bulk of the time, really. Dave did get Trump to admit that he wishes he could take back some tweets, which was a really cool moment. And then the interview ended with them prank calling Mike Portnoy, Esquire, Dave's dad, because he's not a Trump fan. All in all, I thought it was a pretty good interview. But it does come as the election season is heating up, a campaign season, and nobody's had Joe Biden on yet. Maybe he'll do a pizza review with Dave, maybe not. We'll see. Who knows if any of that's going to change? But let's talk to Big Cat about it. Big Cat, thanks for taking the time to come on Hard Factor. Saw that you had some PLL ownership responsibilities you had to deal with right beforehand. Tough loss with the Water Dogs. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I jinxed it at halftime. I said, is it always this easy? Do we always win games like this? So, of course, I think they didn't score the last 18 minutes. Whatever. I'm over. I want to fire the coach. It's over.
Can you do that? You guys are owners, right?
I'll call for his head. I called for his head on part of my take. So, yeah, maybe.
Has he responded to that? That's tough for that guy.
Yeah, first day, first game. I mean, you can't lose a game like that. So I'm
particularly one that the owners have money on.
Yeah, I'm fine being the knee-jerk reaction owner, being like, got to fire everyone.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's an ownership team that demands results.
Yes.
So, but you know why you're here. All right. Last week, Dave interviewed President Trump, and you are a key partner in the Penn Barstool deal, and you did not know in advance that interview was going down. You talked a little bit on the yak, airing a little bit of those grievances on Friday, and talked a little bit about how you wish that as a company, we could stick to sports more. But maybe we've outgrown that as a publisher. And now, for us, for Hard Factor, we're hired as a news and politics podcast. So I guess we're trying to figure out sort of the same kind of stuff you're grappling with. How do we fit in an environment where people are trying to stick to sports, but we've gotten too big for that? And, just your thoughts on that. Are you cool with us?
Yeah. Yes, I'm cool with you guys. I realized afterwards. So I collected my thoughts before on the yak, and I told myself if I can keep it to 5 or 6 minutes, I'll be good. And I looked up and I was like, "Fuck! I've been talking for 10 minutes. That means that there will be a million people who poke holes in a million things I say." And I've just been getting shit on all weekend, which is fine. I don't care. I mean, it's part of the business. And honestly, like, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I would have cared. I would have been responding to people all weekend, but it's like, it is what it is. I pissed off people on the left, people on the right, which means I probably said something.
Welcome
correct.
To our world.
Right,
yeah.
Right. So,
you're on the right track if you're doing that.
Right, though. Right. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, people were calling me a pussies, and then people on the left were calling me like a MAGA guy, and it's like, okay, that's cool. Like, if you know me, I am truly apolitical in that I don't really I like to listen to people talk about politics like you guys, but I don't like to talk about it myself because I kind of think everyone's full of shit and I kind of hate everyone. But that's long-winded. I think you guys do a great thing. What my overarching point was, and I probably didn't articulate it correctly, is that like what we've always done is comedy in politics, how it relates to politics. Like, You know, I had a lot of whataboutism going on in my mentions. You know, we used to sell Make America Great hats in 2015. I did a video with Foul Ball Guy. I'm wearing one. So everyone was like, gotcha, you're wearing the hat. It's like, dude, listen, if you remember 2015, no one was taking it seriously.
It's a weird time.
Satirical coverage, right?
Everyone thought it was a joke. Everyone thought it was a sideshow. And I mean, that was probably 6 months before he went on SNL, hosted SNL. So it's like, you can't tell me that's the same thing. But, and I am not a perfect person. I'm sure I've been a hypocrite many, many times. My overarching point was, when we do talk politics, it's usually in the lens of humor, and also Dave and I never really got into politics. And that was kind of the bigger point. When Dave and I say something, mostly Dave, not really me, but when Dave says something, that's kind of where Barstool stands. So he's never really gotten into politics fully. And that's always been nice, because it's been the guiding light of, we're comedy first. We're not going to, be doing anything for either side, for either candidate. Yeah, he goes on TV, but his TV, like, that has always been the path we've gone on. I honestly, I wouldn't have told Dave. I would have obviously been, if David called me on Wednesday before he went to the White House, my initial reaction been like, I don't know if this is the best idea, but I would have eventually been like, you know what, you have to do it, because I do understand you have to do it. Like, I don't really have a problem with doing it. My problem has been and was, and I'm not going to retract what I said on Friday, is that an election year, a president looking for a platform to, make him, boost him out there, they can, run his ads, whatever it may be. That campaign just feels, that feels different than comedically talking about politics. So that was my point. That's where I disagreed. But again, Dave can do whatever he wants. The other part was just more like, hey, even a heads up would have been nice. And of course, now my mentions are filled with, every time I tweet, people saying, did you clear this with Dave? That's not the point. I know Dave can do whatever the fuck he wants.
But did you?
This was more of a, as if you want me to be a partner like we signed 6 months ago, a heads up or maybe even a little bit of a discussion would have been great. But yeah, I think from a comedic standpoint, which you guys do, and Zero Blog 30 does interviews people in government all the time, but they have interviewed people from both sides. They've been very, I would say, for the most part, very down the middle, and that's an informative podcast. And I get it. There's going to be politics that bleed into Barstool. It's impossible. My point was more from the me and Dave. When that happens, it's a tone setter at the top, and that's how it changes things. So I'm sure you guys will have to deal with shit, and I apologize for that, of like people being like, I thought there were no politics in Barstool. Clearly the world is not perfect. And what I said was going to be taken that way. And if you know me and you know me for a long time, you know that I'm never speaking in like black and white here. So you guys do a great job, and I hope you keep doing it.
Well, I'm happy you want to do the podcast. Mark, you got questions along those lines.
Well, I'm just saying what happens here is we got your attention. We were able to reel you in because of this. And now any of the damage you did from the yak will be tenfold when you have to retweet this tomorrow that you're on Hard Factor.
Yeah, you see what we did there.
And you should check out the Hard Factor podcast. So it was all really for us to get you to do that one retweet. And now I think we're good. So
we know that you have guilt.
Selfishly,
we know that. So
we're
exploiting that.
I spent all weekend. I was trending on Friday, which sucks because it was just like every time I'd refresh my mentions, it'd be 15 people calling me a pussy and not understanding my point. But that's also, again, you can't win arguments on Twitter. You can't win arguments online.
Hey, Big Cat, I got a question for you about. You're talking about how you don't want to appear to be, picking sides or something, or giving a boost to a campaign when you're just a media outlet and you're supposed to be sort of apolitical. Do you think, though, that sometimes the sides seek us out? Like, I know that, like you had mentioned the Biden campaign who reached out to you guys at PMT. Well, we have a hard time getting Dems, but Republicans reach out to us all the time. I feel like sometimes how you were talking about how we all feel like all sides kind of try to use us as pawns. I feel like they may have sought Dave out, or, the people who are in charge of that campaign may have said, hey, this is a guy that resonates with your audience. Let's try to get it. Just like, the Biden campaign's looking at PMT in the same way. And I mean, sometimes I think that for the listeners, they might not realize that we're
you know.
Yeah. No, it happens. I mean, it happens in sports interviews. There's obviously interviews that we do where someone's, pitching something, and that's just kind of the nature of the business. I just think politics are obviously a lot more serious than sports, and there's a lot at stake. This country's kind of all, there's a lot going on right now. And so I think, when we were asked, when someone approached me, it was like, would you want Biden on? I said no immediately, because I was like, I do not want to have anyone think that I'm telling you what to think. Like, I don't want to tell anyone what to think. They come to me to laugh. They come to me to fuck around. They don't come for me to preach at them and tell them how they should think. And I'm not someone who, again, like, the world is so fucking polarized and stupid at this point. I'm not one of those people who's like, if you vote for Donald Trump, you're a racist, and, stop. And like all that stupid tweets. Like, there is so much nuance in the world. There's so much going on right now that I just think our job, first and foremost, is to make people laugh and not let anyone use our platform to push one side or the other.
And that's a great point, Big Cat, because I think what Fauci did, for example, right? Like, it's Fauci coming to you guys is clearly using your platform for good, because it's public health. It's like Fauci saying, okay, I'm sure someone on the Fauci team or the public health team said, okay, who can we go to that's going to reach a large audience of people that otherwise might not be paying attention to what we need to tell America, right? So it's like you saw that with Fauci and you did the right thing having the guy on. But it's also scary in that respect, because you could see how Biden's campaign or Trump's campaign would want the same thing and have very different motivation.
Right. Because you're absolutely right. And the Fauci thing is so funny, because that was the other gripe, people saying that, well, you had Fauci on, and I can't help you if you think that was political. That was a week into the
under several
pandemic.
administrations.
Yeah. And that actually speaks to what our world has become, is that everything is political now. But we were a week into the pandemic. He was giving us tips on what we should and shouldn't be scared of. And that, if that's politics to you, I can't help you, because I think most people can trust where I'm going to, steer my personal ship in terms of content, and it's not going to be into a political forum.
Yes. I will say you got a little bit of a taste of our world this weekend with the feedback of, you're too far. That is like, and we know we're doing a good job when we get hate from both sides, because we try to, we're bipartisan. We try to take it comedy first. So we get shit on from both sides.
But when you do satirical coverage, though, you can't help but be in that world at the same time.
Correct. And the only time I almost responded to someone was, and again, I do not like pay attention to politics. I listen to podcasts. Like I like to listen to it, but I just don't engage in it. The Federalist, which I didn't know what, side they are. Obviously now I do, called me a man baby. And I wanted to reply and be like, just call me a pussy or a bitch, dude. You're such a fucking dork. Who says man baby? That's like all I wanted to reply. Like, I just want to be like, you're such a loser for calling me a man baby. But I have no problem. People can disagree with me. People can tell me that I have no right to say what I said on Friday. That's fine. I think the one lost thing that we have here is that people can't like disagree civilly anymore. And I will always just disagree with people civilly. Like,
well,
if someone,
the people of the Federalists probably came their pants when they saw Dave and Trump sitting together. So I mean, that's why they're calling you a man baby from the main account.
Yeah, so. But people are tweeting at me. I've talked to people in DMs that are telling me that, like, I'm being a hypocrite, and I'll hear anyone out and I'll explain my side. And if they think some people said they're never going to listen to Pardon My Take again because Trump went on with Dave. Some people said, you're a bitch for ever questioning Dave. And it's like, guess what? I'll listen to everyone. It's fine. We can disagree. I'm not going to take back anything I said. And I also am going to move on because I really don't. Yeah. That's the other thing. It's like, I want to come on with you guys because I do think that I kind of put you guys in a weird spot, but like people who are going to listen to Pardon My Take tomorrow, like we didn't talk about it. Like I'll maybe talk about it for like 5 minutes at the top of the act. I'm on. Like I moved on. Dave and I made up. We're on to the next play.
Yeah.
Like it's not
more lunch game. Yeah.
It's crazy. Like I understand it was obviously weird for people to see me speak like that on Friday because that's kind of out of character to get that serious. But I'm a next play guy. Like, and that's through years of doing this where it's like it doesn't linger. If you look at my Twitter, I wasn't replying to people this weekend. I was fucking gambling on baseball, watching the Cubs, hanging out with my son. Like it was We're on to the next play. It's fine.
So are we, Big Cat. We're chess, not checkers at this podcast, and that's why we're going to find another way to make you feel guilty in 6 weeks and get another retweet out.
Right.
So
we'll keep fishing for retweets. That's
we
about
got
it,
this
though.
one, and then we're going to find another one.
Yep. Yeah. And I also I'll leave with this. I totally fucked myself over being like no politics in a fucking election year. Like, way to go. I had that moment on Friday night. I was like, you fucking idiot.
Well, you said that, and then like our directive is literally like go get as many political interviews as possible. So it's just like, oh shit.
God damn it. Well,
we got real drunk on Friday, Big Cut.
No,
we got real drunk.
It's all good. We were feeling so good until the yak came on Friday.
Yeah, I'm giving my stamp of approval. Listen to Hard Factor. They're funny. They're right down the middle, and they're making fun of all of it, which I love.
There we go. That's the clip.
You,
so you just cut my little part. I was talking over him out. We got an individual clip from Big Cat.
That's all we really
play.
needed. Yeah.
That's the endorsement. There it is.
Also, one thing. Go ahead, Big Cat. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say now you guys are really tricking me into talking politics, but I'm sure you talked about on your show today the George Carlin ad that they did for basically saying like they want to keep you asleep because that's the American dream. Do you guys see that?
No. Explain it. Explain it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, no, I'll tell you my thoughts. It's so funny to me because I watched that ad and I was like, you guys, does anyone think anything's going to change if it goes from Republican to Democrat? Nothing. It's just a shift of what suits in power, and that's how I always think. Everyone's fucking full of shit.
100%. Yeah, you're absolutely
Fair
right,
enough.
Big Cat. You are absolutely right. We need to burn the system down to the ground, or we will have no changes.
They just want control, man. I mean, that's why they're coming
Easy
after
to make
us
fun of, though.
to go for interviews. I mean, it's
lots of content for us. Easy to make fun of.
That's the media business. All right, one more thing though, Big Cat. Before you leave, settle a bet. How many bounces to the front of home plate was Fauci's pitch? 1 or 2 bounces?
Oh
to the front
shit!
Of home plate?
I didn't even see. I didn't even count the bounces.
Oh,
we have a big bet on this.
Hold on.
We don't have. It's not. It's a tiny bet, but pride is on the line.
It's important.
1.
There it is. There it is.
I just looked. I watched once, and it's 1.
There we go. 1 bounce. Big Cat.
Thanks for coming on.
Much for coming on. Man.
Yes,
appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
All right. On to the next one, like Big Cat was saying. But before we move on completely, that interview was brought to you by our sponsor, PredictIt.org/promo/hardfactor20. Go there to get your first $20 matched in the stock market of politics and consume your politics in the most fun way possible by gambling on it. So the market I wanted to mention today was vice president. I'm seeing everybody saying that Kamala is going to be officially selected. She's at 42 cents right now to buy. That's still better than a double up. I'm thinking that's what the play right now. What do you guys think?
Who's saying that? Who's saying that?
I see headlines saying Kamala to be announced.
You see from whom?
From different outlets. From different. I scroll. I don't really
verify
anything. I just read headlines and then scroll.
From Rainbow Jeremy's telling him to buy. I got Susan Rice, dog.
You got Susan Rice?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I got Susan Rice.
Well, what's the thought process behind that? Kamala's been the favorite the whole time.
Kamala's a cop.
Okay.
I got Val Demings, and I'll tell you why.
Oh,
also a cop.
Because after my Klobuchar, I made my money on Klobuchar back in the day because I kicked this market off. I don't know if you guys remember. I saw the Klobuchar star rising, and then it burned out too soon. I stayed off this market for a while. And then when I got back in it, when it was really electric, Val Demings was the only person who I could put my $22 that I had in my account towards. And if she wins, have a serious bang for my buck. So I'm a Demings guy. I'm in a
value play.
263 shares at 7 cents.
Yeah. Let me just be clear. I have no problems with, non-violent police officers. I just think when you hear my first lightning round story, I don't think a cop's going to be the VP.
You don't think either.
No.
Well, if you know if you think you know who's going to be selected for VP, I think it's Kamala. Mark thinks it's Susan Rice. Pat thinks it's Val Demings.
Or Bottoms. I like Bottoms as the underdog. Come on, Bottoms.
She still got COVID though. We'll see how the COVID,
like a phoenix from the ashes.
Right. Bottoms she's fallen off the whole list, bro.
She's 2 cents.
Hillary Clinton.
She's 2 cents. She's out. But maybe, I don't know, probably not. I think it's one of those 3 that we just talked about. Anyways, go to predictit.org/promo/hardfactor20 to get your first $20 matched. Boys, take us to the lightning round.
All right. Like I hinted at, first up in lightning round is a lightning round of stuff that happened in major cities where protests are still going on this weekend. And it's a fun one. So I'm just going to rattle it off. No jokes. In Seattle, officers declared the protesting as riots and then used stun gun grenades and pepper spray, and at least 45 people were arrested. A group set fire to the construction site for a youth detention facility, so no juvie there, and smashed courthouse and nearby businesses' windows in. Sounded like a lot of fun in Seattle this weekend. In Austin, Texas, yeah.
I heard they were taking the Chaz back, too.
Yeah, Seattle and Portland. Real bad.
Gotta love the burning down of a
stuff.
juvie, though. That's fucking awesome. Because
Preemptively
burn down, too.
Hopefully it was underage protesters that would have gone there for burning it down, but they burned it down, so there's nowhere to put them. In Austin, Texas, Garrett Foster was participating in a Black Lives Matter protest when he was shot to death by someone in a car that allegedly drove into a group of protesters, and when the group went to confront the driver, he opened fire on them and killed Garrett Foster. Yeah, Austin, Texas, right here. In Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 60-year-old Burnell Trammell was shot to death in front of his business. Trammell is famous locally for his avid support for Donald Trump, and he has a bunch of handmade pro-Trump signs out in front of his business. So investigators are looking into if that was part of the motive. He got murdered. What else in this lightning round of shit? In Portland, federal officers fired tear gas to disperse a large crowd of protesters. Some were armed with hammers. Fun protesting little trick there. You bring a hammer. That's great. Who had gathered outside a courthouse and were throwing projectiles, assumedly, including the hammers. In Aurora, Colorado.
That's a tough weapon, bro.
No,
to execute it is some hand-to-hand hammering. That's not for the faint of heart.
The scene in what is it? The Raid? Is that the hammer scene, or is that Old Boy? Old Boy.
I don't recall.
Old Boy hammer scene. There's a hammer scene in Old Boy that's incredible, I think. And then also
you don't want to get hit with the hammer. I mean, that's a tough
unless
thing
you're a
to throw
nail.
at people.
Well, yeah, unless you're a nail. And then the bad guy in the Mario Brothers, the guy with the helmet that threw hammers, one of the toughest bad guys. In Portland,
they were twins, Mark.
The brothers,
his twin brother, yeah.
Were they the turtles in the sky? I don't know.
Hammer Brothers.
Hammer Bros.
Yeah.
All right. In Aurora, Colorado, someone drove a car to a group of protesters. No serious injuries were reported. 75 people were arrested in Omaha, Nebraska, over protests for James Scurlock, who was a 22-year-old black man who was shot to death by a white bar owner in May. Oh, and there's the secret federal police in a ton of cities now. So, lightning round.
Sat all around on that one.
Yeah.
You guys remember the MAGA kid who was at an anti-abortion rally in Washington, D.C. and, quote, stood motionless and calm to defuse the situation in the face of a Native American elder who was beating his drum while black Hebrew Israelites yelled racist things?
Yeah, the guy with the smirk, yeah.
Yeah, anyway, his name is Nick.
Powered by milk.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. One of the whitest guys ever. His name is Nick Sandmann, and he is now rich as fuck because Washington Post settled with him. Now, popular to contrary belief, he did not get a settlement of $250 million, which is what he was asking for, and would have been a little bit too much. But the Sandman did, in fact, settle for some undisclosed amount with the Post and also CNN separately for purportedly misreporting his involvement in the situation.
Sandman's got millions now.
Yep, Sandman's going to be pretty popular at his first year, whatever white college he's going to. All right, Unique Smith. Well, how do we want to trade back and forth, Mark? What do we want to do here?
Yeah. Why are you already done yours? What are you doing?
Because your lightning round was like 14 paragraphs, but that was also one topic. Do you have another topic?
I have two more that are short.
Okay. So, Mark,
I'm up. All right, All right, you might want to listen up to this one, Will. The Pentagon program that investigates unidentified flying objects, the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force, is expected to be forced to release some of its findings on UFOs and aliens soon. Once Congress passes the Intelligence Authorization Act, the UFO Task Force and the DNI, in accordance with the Secretary of Defense and some other people, will have 180 days to release their findings for UFO stuff, I guess.
Yes.
And that's awesome. Yeah, go ahead.
No matter who's the president, they got to release it?
Yeah, within 6 months of this act passing. Yeah. And why do we have to wait? Because head of the DNI, former head of the DNI, Rick Grinnell, was on the show, and he pretty much hinted at the alien life. We almost got him to admit it. Why don't we just have him on again before we have to wait 6 months? But anyways, they're going to have to tell us everything they know, and I'm sure they will, and it will be completely honest in everything that they know, and they won't hold anything back.
Look, Go ahead, B.
Unique Smith.
Wait.
27.
Wait. I got something on the aliens before we move on.
All right.
So the aliens, though, I don't think it's going to be completely honest from the Pentagon, but at least if you could see that there's like pictures of UFO parts and stuff, I mean, that would be pretty good.
I mean, wishful thinking. Maybe, yeah, and maybe Ghislaine Maxwell will get everyone's name down too. Could be great. Could be.
So what do you think's coming in 6 months then? I mean,
nothing like puff pieces, like
creeping death.
Pat.
Unique Smith, 27, of Stone Mountain, Georgia, was arrested July 18th, guys. She faces misdemeanor charges of carrying a concealed weapon and marijuana possession. What makes this story a little bit different is the where. The weed and the firearms were both found in her baby's diaper bag by a security guard as Unique and her fam tried to enter Disney's Epcot Center. Oh, shit. Tough to get out of that one. Mark.
Lightning. My last one is a story I'm sure that is familiar to lots of people out there, if they're anything like us. Like, have you guys ever made a deal with a friend or a group of friends? Like, if I win the $500 million lottery, I'm going to give you half of it, or everyone gets $1 million in a house in the compound I'm going to build.
If we're not married by the time we're 35, we'll find each other and get married.
One of those deals. The Beavs
Will,
always.
You said you would never. Fuck, that's fucked up. All right, that's fucked up. That is fucked
just
up.
Just under the radar. Yeah, I mean, I think at this point I'm gonna have to give away most of my lottery winnings. If I got to stop making those type of deals, which is exactly what Tom Cook and Joseph Feeney did when they shook hands in 1992 and promised that if either one of them won the Powerball jackpot, they would split the money. 28 years later, and Cook won almost $1 million for each year lost by winning $22 million on a Powerball ticket he bought at a Synergy Cooperative in Menomonee, Wisconsin.
Now he's in the Menomonee.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. When Cook called Feeney to tell him the good news, Feeney said, "Who is this? Oh, right, the lottery thing we promised that I totally would have honored."
Right. Yeah. See, that's what I was thinking with like the marriage thing. Pat, I had done one of those that didn't ever come through. Does the Beav have one lined up for this year?
Will, that's what I was saying about you and me when we were 35, but you're married already, and then you put it out, you put on blast for everyone, and I was really hoping you'd divorce your wife in the next 3 years.
Sorry, I forgot I had one with you. I had multiple.
This one's as the Beef. Let me read you guys a quote. I will beat Joe Biden off. Who you think said that? If you think it's his potential competitor in the presidential race, you'd be right, and I'd be turned on. Because Yeezus tweeted over the weekend, I will beat Joe Biden off in write-ins. Yeah. Let me check on the rest of the Yeezus campaign. On Monday, he successfully submitted 2,500 required signatures to get on the ballot in Illinois. However, the signatures can be challenged easily, and in total 13 different Illinois residents requested West's petition for review as of Thursday morning. Mark,
wait, time out. Wait a minute.
Kanye's.
People think he's writing fake names down.
He turned in 3,200 names. Which is really low.
So
really
why are people challenging that though?
Because you can challenge it. I don't know.
So what do you challenge? Like they have to like verify that all 3,200 people wanted to sign for Kanye and are alive and aren't like
probably
cats and stuff. Okay.
He can only get 3,200 signatures in Chicago. That's his home state.
Yeah,
he's gonna beat him off
for the signatures too. He's gonna beat them right off. Come on,
Pat. That's the end of the show.
Thank you guys so much for listening to Hard Factor. Thanks, Big Cat, for coming on today. Hey, if you don't, give us a follow on social media. I'm at Hard Factor Pat. We got at Hard Factor Will. We got at Hard Factor Mark on this show. We got at Hard Factor News as our main handle. Give us a follow on the tweets and the Instagrams. If you haven't already, and if you're joining this show because Mr. Cat came on, it's nice to have you. Do yourself a favor and subscribe. Click the subscribe button on Apple Podcasts or the follow button on Spotify. You will not be disappointed. We will get you the news you need to know for the day. So we're barely
Big Cat
informed.
approved now. So
Big Cat approved.
Huge.
Big Cat approved. Huge for us. Thanks for listening, guys. And most importantly, this is really important. You go and have yourself a great fucking day.